Hey, what's going on YouTube? Lionel here, and excuse me, my allergies are wearing me out quite a bit. Been doing some yard work. My lawn's a mess. I've done everything. I was thinking about stripping it, but nonetheless, I will just keep weeding, feeding it, and I think I got some Bayer's weed killer, but that's a different discussion. Um, so today I want to talk about just some recent sniffs. Maybe some future purchases, things like that. Just sort of a chat just to kind of stay connected with some of the subscribers and other reviewers. With that said, let's get into the recent sniffs. So my barber is at the mall, and it's a pretty big mall, so it's not like a run of the mill type mall. So I get a chance just about every weekend to go to Macy's or Dillard's and smell different things. Now I hadn't done it the last couple of weeks because I've been pretty busy. It's kind of been I don't know, just life has been really busy. But I went and did some sniffs at both Perfume Mania and Macy's. So at Perfume Mania, what I smelled was Bajan Nude, Eau de Cartier, and I smelled Ricini. I think they make the amber fragrance that a lot of people talk about on YouTube. But they also make one called Strictly Private, and there was another one called Private Affairs. I did not get a chance to smell Private Affairs because I just had too many other things going on trying to smell and get a, just try to get a familiarization with. So I decided to stick with those three. So let's talk about it. Strictly Private is very, very, very good. If you're looking for a fall, winter, even maybe, if you're in a cooler Northeast climate, Midwest, Chi-Town, Detroit, Northeast, Boston, New York, DC, if you're in any of those areas, man, I really think if you like some semi-sweet type of fragrances, I think Strictly Private may be something that you're really, really interested in checking out. I think it's a really, really good fragrance, and it was pretty quality. Now, let me be honest and say I didn't try it on my skin really, but I did try it on on my son's skin. I don't know, but I liked it. I think it performed fairly well. I think you're going to get about 6 hours from it. 4 hours of pretty good projection, and it's just a really well constructed fragrance. Eau de Cartier. Eau de Cartier, I don't know if I've seen any YouTube reviews on Eau de Cartier, but it sort of falls into that, Prada Infusion, Prada, what is the new one that Prada did? That one. Anyway, it falls into that category, right? Sort of the clean, sort of soapy, sort of citrusy, sort of vetivery, sort of, a little spice from some of the other notes. And I like it a lot. If I was looking for a spring, even summer fragrance to sort of, wear to work, something that would be, I just kind of wanted to smell, a bit elegant, right? Not really distinct, but a bit elegant, right? I think Eau de Cartier would be nice. I actually prefer it much, much better than the Pradas that I mentioned. And if your Prada starts with an L, Lumini, whatever, I think that Eau de Cartier is very well worth the sniff. Now, I don't know about the longevity on that one because I only tried it on the strip, but it lasted a pretty good while on the strip. And I think it performed fairly well. Again, I think it's going to be a 4 to 6 hour sort of fresh scent, but I think it's a perfect fragrance, especially if you spray your clothes. Next was Bajan Nude, and I was really, really blown away, especially for the price point. If you go on YouTube now, you probably can get Bajan Nude for about 11, 12 bucks shipped. And it's actually something I thought about maybe adding. If you're looking for a fragrance that's going to if you're looking for just a casual fragrance, right, you're going to go, I don't know, over your girl's house, over your girl's parents' house, and you're not really trying to make a statement. You're not really trying to impress anyone. You just want to smell clean. It sort of has a creamy, soapy, musky vibe going on, but it's creamy, so it's not like a fresh musk. It sort of has a slight I mean, if you know musk fragrances, it sort of falls into something along the lines of, let me think of a musk fragrance that I have in there. I don't know. You know, maybe some of the musk that you smell in some of the creeds that kind of gives it that distinction. It's a pretty good fragrance. Bajan Nude is a really, really good fragrance, and I was really impressed with that one. So it was fun that I was impressed with all these fragrances because typically I'm not. But Bajan Nude, especially at the price point, is really good. Eau de Cartier, if you can get it from like Beauty Encounter or Fragrance Net, and you can get it for a really good price, find it on eBay. I saw a 6.7 for like $70 or something like that. I think it's well worth it. So will you be blown away? I don't know. And I'm going to get to a statement that someone made earlier. So those were the three that I smelled at Perfume Mania. All three were really good fragrances, so I was really, really impressed with that. Now, I went to Macy's also. So here are the four that I smelled there. Ferragamo has a new one. It's an aqua fragrance. Le Male has one called Le Beau Male. I don't know. And then there's Givenchy has one called Givenchy Gentleman Only. And then I smell Adam Levine. So let's start from the bottom. Adam Levine. Adam Levine opens with one of the beautiful, sour, fruity note that is just really, really impressive. And about 15 minutes into it, it's pretty much gone. Outside of that, you just kind of get a generic, fresh fragrance. Not outside of anything that Perry Ellis makes. Not anything outside of what Marc Ecko would make. So I mean, I would just, it's another, ding on the celebrity fragrance. I mean, they're just not doing anything that's really worth anything. So, and I'm not against celebrity fragrances. I there's quite a few that I do enjoy, but Adam Levine was just a strikeout, and I was really impressed with his notes and sort of his, his music and his personality. I thought that he would have took just a little bit more of a risk, and I just think longevity's average and below average, projections below average, opening is beautiful, sort of very celebrity-like, right? You get this big buzz and then gone. So, needless to say, Adam Levine was a scratch. Let's go to, I'm going to go to Ferragamo Aqua. Ferragamo Aqua, Adam Levine, same bed, same place. Perry Ellis Aqua, all the same. Scratch. Le Beau Male, whatever. Minty, sort of empty fragrance, if I can say anything. I mean, I would have actually liked them to add probably more of the original Le Male and then drop this mint over the top of it. Maybe scale down some of the cloyingness of Le Male and then just amp up some mint or something to kind of give it a freshness, give it something distinct. Wasn't impressed at all. Excuse me. And from a mint perspective, it almost sort of had a mentholish fragrance more than a minty fragrance, right? I mean, Cartier Roaster is leaps and bounds above this, and a lot of other mint fragrances that I've encountered were really much more impressive than this one. So that one was bad. Now, on to Givenchy Gentleman Only. Now, that one was a bit distinct. I actually really liked it. It smelled like something else that I've encountered, but I would tell you, if I was buying a fragrance, that would be another impression. I mean, I would put that one in Fendi's Fendi Pour Homme. I would put those, that Givenchy Gentleman Only is a pretty good fragrance. A little sweet. I like the citrus opening, but the incense and some other notes kind of gives it this woodiness, maybe a lot of cedar or something. And then the incense kind of comes along, sort of like a woody Bleu de Chanel sort of, or something along that line. I don't know. I couldn't really put my hands on it, and I put a little bit on my hand, so I didn't really get to experience it. But on a strip and a little bit that I put on my hand, I was really impressed with Givenchy Gentleman Only. So from a designer perspective, I think that they probably got a long stay. They probably got something that's going to stick around for a little while. That one may, if it discontinues it, and I can find it on Fragrance Net or something in the next year, I probably wouldn't mind adding a fragrance like that to my collection. Somewhere in between a Chanel and something woody. I don't know, but I was impressed with it. So I would say Givenchy Gentleman Only. Givenchy did a really good job with that one, from my perspective. But if I were to list all of these things I was really impressed with the most, it would probably be the Balder Sereni, the Strictly Private. I was really blown away by that one, and just the quality of the Bajan Nude at the price point, right? So because you can get it relatively cheap. I'm going to go back and smell the rest of those Bajans too and see what they're like. But Bajan Nude was really nice. Excuse me. Excuse me. And then the Givenchy Gentleman Only and Strictly Private. But of the ones that I smelled at Perfumania, I was impressed with all three of those. So Cartier, Eau de Cartier is a perfect, work, office, close counter type of fragrance. Strictly Private is probably something that would, I think you can wear that one out and be a little more vocal. I think it has a bit more going on. I would believe it would be a really big compliment getter. I think Givenchy Gentleman Only would probably be a nice compliment getter. And Bajan Nude, I think it's going to be just one of those subtle fragrances that people say, oh, you smell nice, right? It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be lip licking like Strictly Private, but I think it's going to be, it'll be, along the loam, those types of fragrances where you're going to get, you smell nice type of comments. So Strictly Private is more on the La Nuit type side, maybe a bit more sweet. So I think it's going to garner probably a little more attention. So if I was to buy, of these 7 that I tried, I would probably start with Strictly Private, number 1, go to Bajan Nude, and then go to Givenchy Gentleman. And Eau de Cartier is, if you don't have anything like it, I think it's worth owning. So, but just depends if you're a collector or not. So with that said, I'm at almost 12 minutes. I want to spend the next 3 minutes really talking about Fragrances Wire's comment, which was very, very interesting. So I watched his top 5 spring, which is a really good list, right? Tabaron, I think he had Tabaron in there. He had Original Vetiver, Dior, Riverside Drive, and his number 1 was Green Irish Tweed. So very, very good quality fragrances, each of those. Creed heavy, and I think so. I think Creed gets bashed unnecessarily. Matter of fact, I think Creed is sort of like, for me, Creed is sort of like, LeBron's game, right? It's like Creed can't do anything right. I don't care what they do. There's people still going to complain about them. So Creed just does everything good, right? I just, maybe there's some longevity issues with some people. I've still never encountered that really. But needless to say, Creed's a very good house. But back on to Fragrance Wires, I think he said something that really impressed me, or impressed upon me. My conscience was, he's like, hey man, he has, I think he said he had maybe 6 or 7, maybe 8 mainstay bottles, and then everything else he sort of swaps out until he kind of finds out which fragrance he wants to become a mainstay. I would actually recommend, if you're watching this video and you're starting off, that you watch his video and just see. I still think that you can be considered a collector. 20 bottles of perfume. 5 Creeds are a freaking car. You can get a used car and a pretty decent, 97 Camry or something for 5 Creeds, especially if you buy them retail. So that's not inexpensive. But I think he really hit a really good point. I think a lot of times, I see a lot of people buy just to buy, and I'm guilty of that, right? I'm guilty of just buying just to buy. I see a good price. Typically, if I'm buying just to buy, they're at the $25, $30 price point. I don't really go above that. Some of the decants, I just really wanted to try out, and I thought it was cheaper just to buy a 10 ml decant for $30 versus spending $8 on a sample, right? So that's how I backed into most of my decants. But I really liked his statement, and I would recommend that you guys watch Fragrance Wires. Subscribe to him, number 1, because he's a really good reviewer. But number 2, I think really he really embodied something a philosophy that I originally, this was sort of the foundation of my fragrance collection, and then I somehow I just blew it, right? I should have just stuck to the plan. My plan was to have about 15 bottles tops, with 5 of those being real high quality, and then 10 just kind of, rotating how I feel, right? I want to go to the park with my kids, so I just want to smell something, just some stuff to throw on, to have fun. But I would even recommend, even that's kind of high. I think you go 10, 5 mainstays, right? And, across your season, depends on which region you in, and then 5 head buster type fragrances, and then or 2 or 3 head buster type fragrances, a Tom Ford or a Amouage, a couple of those, and then 2 or 3 main, 2 or 3 things that you just kind of rotate in. So, needless to say, I really like Fragrance Wire's perspective, and that's really where I think I'm trying to go. Though I'm mentioning these recent sniffs, and I do enjoy smelling and sniffing, but just from an ownership perspective, I just got stuff that never gets touched. And I don't know if that's the best use of resources. I don't even know if that's the best use of enjoying fragrances, right? So, needless to say, check out Fragrance Wires. I appreciate it. Here's what I sniffed. Go check it out. Let me know what you guys are smelling. Let me know what you guys are impressed with. And I'm just kind of going all over the place. And lastly, I've really gotten into a different purchase model, and I'm going to do that on the next video. So I'm going to do this video, then I'm going to do one more to just talk about that. But I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.